Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to Quickly Casual. I'm Srekcuf. Joining me over there is Dev, the Dorky Dev. How you doing today? It
Jeez, that took forever for you to get to that part.
looks like you were about to respond anyway, so I was like, never mind. All right, I'll get to
I
that.
was I was waiting for you to say it.
I appreciate
Usually.
that.
Okay.
Hi,
I like
Dev.
how we're starting today.
Do we ever have just like a clean, open start to the show? I would say
Ugh.
no. Part of the charm. So, hi Dev. How's your Thanksgiving been so far?
I have sat on the couch all day, watching shows. Uh, Caught the latest episode of Young Justice. Good season so far. Um, which I'm caught up on. I'm happy. I was a season behind, so I'm all the way caught up to current. Watched Hawkeye. It's fun so far.
Okay, forgot that
Want to
came
say
out.
one thing. Haley Steinfeld in a fucking suit. It's a good suit.
All right,
Like
other people will
it
find
was,
out.
it was- I saw her in just like a nice black suit. I'm like, damn, that she fucking rocks that. The tie a little loose. I'm like, huh, that
Ah,
is
Dev has a new fantasy.
not a fan. It's fuck off.
I'm sorry.
Why do you take it there immediately? I can't have a good thing. I can't have anything nice.
You can have
Um.
everything nice, and that's the end of that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and I watched something I'm regretting still being watching, but you know what? I've started it. At this point, I'm gonna finish it, despite how bad the season 2 is. Genlock.
Really?
It's bad. It
Okay.
is really bad because it's HBO only.
Hmm.
My God, is it bad?
I was about to say I liked season 1 of Genlock, but I haven't seen season 2.
Don't leave it there. Leave
Okay.
it there, sweet child. Unless you want to torture yourself, in which case, go for it. Um, they do some things that are not good.
Okay. Too much behind the scene producer changes.
Yeah, it's obvious it's different. Like, I knew it was off the first episode because I watched it. I'm like, the animation looks worse.
Okay.
This doesn't look right. Something's wrong here immediately. Because something that I loved about that first season was the animation was so fucking smooth
Yeah, it looks pretty
in
good.
those scenes. It was good. It was good mech fights. Season 2 feels clunky with its animation. And then it's also on HBO Max. So I'm just going to let you envision what that can potentially mean.
Hmm. Sounds awful. I'm
Because
surprised.
HBO Max can be great for stuff, but at the same time, like, imagine imagine it's on HBO.
That's the way I think about it. Honestly, is just if it's not a live action thing, it's probably not going to be the best from HBO because HBO can do
Young
TV.
Justice is good.
I mean, Young Justice is pretty good, but I haven't seen any other cartoons from HBO that I've liked.
That's fair. Yeah, this is definitely it's not good.
Camera just turned off.
I noticed.
At least it was early on in the show this time instead of in the middle of it.
That's fair.
All right, give me one
Uh,
second here. It's an
you
easy.
want to switch screens and I'll do the intro while you fix this? All right, cool. So this week is called Nuclear Reactions. That's not the best, but not the worst. Where we are reviewing Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. Which I'm very excited to talk about this week.
I'm kind of
Um,
excited too.
this is some background for me.
Mhm.
Um, Me and my brother used to watch Ghostbusters for a while there, almost monthly. Um, Ghostbusters 1 and 2. We had the DVDs. So they would be on all the fucking time. We had backpacks, and you know those little yellow pumps for balloons?
Mhm. You would sit there walking around.
Those were our Potan packs. Okay. Um, if we had anything that had wheels that we can roll, there was our ghost trap. You know, easily.
Nerd shit, you know.
Yeah,
Best kind of nerd shit.
100%. We grew on this shit. Like it was what we loved. It was awesome. So like these movies will always hold a special place in my heart. So it's gonna be interesting actually reviewing these for the first time. Because never had to. But and we're not gonna talk about like brief talk about I guess for a second Ghostbusters 2016. The reason why we didn't do it this week, like this time, was because Ghostbusters Afterlife is part of this timeline. Maybe if we do a reboot week, we'll throw that on there so we can knock all these off.
Yeah, let me throw that on here on
But
our list of to-dos.
just and we're not doing all of those, are we?
No.
Those are just okay, cool. Because some of them are not gonna be fun.
Of course
Um,
not.
but on there, like on that note, like like as a brief synopsis of why like I don't like 2016 isn't because it's one of those weird things where it's like the problem with 2016 is you can't dislike it without potentially being inserted into a group
Mhm.
of just douchebags who dislike it because they're women. I just didn't really like the comedy in it. It just didn't stick for me because Ghostbusters has a very unique comedy to it. Um, and I will talk about that this week with Ghostbusters 2 as well. Um, but Ghostbusters 1984 has a very unique comedy to it. So that's where I'll leave it.
All right. We ready to hop into the first movie then?
Yeah.
All right. So instead of you leaving it there, let's talk about the unique comedy of Ghostbusters 1984, like right now.
All right, cool. Which came out June 8th, 1984, with a budget of $30 million. Its opening weekend made $13 million. Gross US and Canada, $243 million, and worldwide, $296 million. This is one of the greatest movies ever made. I'm straight up gonna say it, okay? Um, it's fucking funny. Um, it's funny in the right way, okay? It's not trying to push jokes at you,
Mhm.
but it's funny. Like it's things happening and jokes coming of it.
Mhm.
Um, arguably easiest scene to point at is the library. The beginning of this movie when they're walking through and the entire time Bankman's just like, okay, this is dumb. This is so fucking dumb. As Egon and Ray are going through, and tell the bookshelf. And Venkman goes, "This ever happened before?" Ray shakes his head. First time? Shakes his head, yes.
Is it-
Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna take it
I'm like,
seriously.
that is hilarious. Because the entire time up until that point, Peter Venkman is skeptic
Mhm.
101. And then that happens. And he's like, okay, something's up. Don't know how I feel about it. So, like, that sets the tone so perfectly. Because this movie's also very much about um like it's very much also a horror movie.
Yeah, it definitely has. Like, I thought about that. This movie, when it first came out, could definitely have been scary for saw it. But
It
like,
is
yeah,
scary.
like I only because I was judging it right now based on today's times. I was like, this isn't scary. This is funny. There's moments of here in this movie where I'm like, ah, that's misogynistic. But um, it's a quirkiness that was just available back in the 1980s. Said,
Yeah, there's some stuff that Venkman does that is very arguably like would not pass in these times.
yes. But what other than that, like I love the comedy that happens in this movie. It's simple, but it's matter of fact. I think my favorite scene is just like the Twinkie scene. It's like, imagine
Yes.
this Twinkie. It's like, it's just so
Just
like,
New York's regular
mhm,
uh paranormal normalic energy.
mhm. Twinkie would be the size of a football field or something stupid like that.
The size of 35 blocks.
Yeah, and it's like that's a real big. Like that's it. That's all.
That's a
That's a
big
real big.
Twinkie.
Yeah, like
That's a big Twinkie.
that made me laugh. It's funny, and I
He's
like.
great.
There's also when they start explaining things, like when they go over the explanation of like the myth and mythos of Gozer, and they talk about like all the accidents that happened. They mention offhandedly that um, things get larger based off of the choices that general public makes. So there's hints and foreshadowing throughout the whole movie and how the ending is going to happen. Just it's subtle and it's well written and funny.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hilarious. Like it's really good.
things. One thing that I always found interesting though is like there's a lot of things in this movie. Where I mean, it's basically every movie, but it's just you go right off right in the very beginning. Like, all right, we're starting this movie where no one believes in ghosts except for these three people, and they've had a lot of experience doing this stuff. And then we go like 2 months later, and it's like, okay, one of them is so smart they can make multiple miniature proton pack power generators that can destroy anything that it touches. And it's like, why would you make something of it? It's so
It's patented.
ridiculous.
No, 100%, but it's awesome.
Mhm. And then once we get
Like
to the
I'm
end,
sorry, as soon as you hear the thing start
yeah.
up, god damn that first. Which, by the way, fun fact: this movie doesn't call them the proton packs.
Mhm.
You want to be tell Ghostbusters 2 where they get called that. But that first time you hear the miniature proton
And then they kind of crawl away from him in the
I love how
elevator.
Egon does this and turns.
Yeah, like tries to press as flat against the wall as he can.
um, and fires his off. Dude, it's just hearing that first time the beams going off.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so good. This
So
movie is so good.
even it is a little weird though because the the look of the beam, it like I'm not saying that the look of the beam is really bad. What I'm saying is it doesn't have like the weight that I feel like it should, just based off its movements. I guess I don't know. Like when I think of something that incinerates anything that it touches, I don't think of like a fire hose that no one's holding on to. But I think of more like a lightning bolt, I guess. And sure, these had lightning bolts shooting everywhere, but it was still like crazy and chaotic and not like a powerful thud. So I that's just like a personal preference. I'm not going to hold that against the movie in any means.
I love the it adds to the comedy of the fact that that shit could literally hit anything.
Mm-hmm. And it
I
basically
think it's
hits
hilarious.
everything.
Yes, it does. It's awesome. Um. Oh, and then the fact that like, dude, like the first time when you see Slimer, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, god damn, it's so good.
But yeah, there's
'Cause
a bunch of fun moments in this movie. But I also want you to think about some of the stuff that we don't know, like we don't get resolutions to, like the library in the beginning. I wonder what happens with that ghost. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's
I assume
pretty
they
easy.
caught
You
it
can assume
later.
they come back later.
Yeah.
They come back later and catch it.
Hmm.
Like they're like you can assume during the montage that they do that.
Hmm.
It's a great montage, by the way.
Yeah.
And
It's
like
so busy.
it's oh yeah, 100%. I really enjoy it. Like honestly, this is one of those movies that like if you grew up watching it, it is arguably one of those movies that you will always have a touchstone for. And you'll never not love this movie. Um, in my opinion, like it's something like there's no way it changes because like it's got such great goddamn like um comedy bits. Like Rick Moranis. Rick Moranis is fucking fantastic in this movie.
Hmm.
Like, my God,
The
he's
most
so good.
awkward neighbor.
But he's so comedically good,
Mhm.
like, at the stuff he does. His body humor is hilarious. He's just he's on point the entire time, and he's a small role. Um, like, everyone does such a good job in this movie that, like, it will always be just it just be a cornerstone of, like, of cinema.
It's definitely a movie that I will forever remember and like constantly reference because it's
And watch.
yeah. I mean, from time to time, I think about not watching it, but that's just me being like, PC culture, PC principle over here. I don't know, but it's still fun to enjoy. You close your eyes and ignore everything that's horrible that's done. You go on a fun romp. Especially too, my favorite thing has to be the freaking theme song of this movie. Like,
Oh god, yeah.
yeah, how can you not love the Ghostbusters theme song? It's the right amount of funk and like rock and good amount of dance pumpiness to get you excited.
Who you gotta call? Ghostbusters!
I get afraid of the ghosts. Be-do,
And a
be-do.
lagoon. Who you gotta call? Ghostbusters!
And I got
Um,
like the when I think about this movie, I love the comedy that happens, but my one complaint, I guess, is the setup for Gozer
nah.
because it's a one-off line that's talked about a couple of times there. Well, it's not a one-off line technically. It's a line that's just kind of mentioned multiple times throughout the film until suddenly that's what the plot of the movie revolves around. And I feel like they should have made it a little bit more connected throughout the entire movie.
I I don't think it matters that much. I think it connects perfectly fine. Because like for me at least, I look at it like it's sprinkled in there until it becomes the point. Like it's just they're building up to it in a way, if that makes sense. Like they don't have it doesn't need to be the key fucking like thing happening for it to be the end result because like I look at everything happening as building to that, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But that's also because like I've watched the movie 1,000 times.
Nostalgia
Like
is a bitch now.
no, it's not from nostalgic. It's just because like I like because of how they talk about like the amped up amount of ghost activity and stuff like that, like that it's all connected and stuff like that. So like I've always had that ability to be like, okay, so that's just why like this all of it is building up to Gozer kind of thing.
Mhm.
So that's why. Not from a nostalgic standpoint, but just more from a rewatch standpoint, if that makes sense. Like I've just always made that connection as the thing.
Hmm. Trying to remember one thing specific about the end because I can't remember why they chose to target what they did.
Um, because it was a different dimension.
I mean, sure, yeah, that works. Because,
And that's
only
where the
because
energy's coming from.
that that makes sense, honestly. Because I am specifically thinking about the next movie's ending more than I'm thinking about this movie's ending. So I want to try and like make sure I have it 100% in a doubt, like without a doubt, what happened in this ending. And I know that they're talking about one thing. They talk about everyone's favorite part of this movie, and then they turn their backs to it to attack the other thing, and
Well, because it's that they're not going to do anything to the
yeah.
to old Puff Boy.
Mhm.
Um, That no, and part of it also, I think they're trying to create a way to close the door. So
Mhm. Yeah, it works. It definitely works. It's a funny movie that's enjoyable. And I mean, I'm definitely gonna recommend people watch it. That's for sure.
oh yeah,
Just ignore that Dr. Venkman is worst character I think Bill Murray's played. And
he's played worse.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I won't doubt it. And know that I think you should all watch this movie. Mm-hmm. I haven't got much else to talk about on this one, do you?
Now let's move on.
Here's your popcorn kernels, Dev. You got 10 of them. How many are you going to give to Ghostbusters?
Oh man, this is tough.
Can I throw out a wild guess on what your guess is going to be?
What's that?
Not a 10 this time. A 9.5.
You're wrong.
Damn.
Give me a solid 9.
Oh.
I appreciate that you didn't think I was gonna give this a 10 though.
Mm-hmm.
I could arguably give it a 10 easily, 100%. Like if I just wanted to just go full at it, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's a part of me that wants to, but there is some stuff that does hold it back due to just like again time
I want
moving
to.
forward.
One thing really.
What?
What year was the Indiana Jones movie where he punches the woman in the. Is that The Last Crusade? No, Temple of Doom? No.
Yes, Temple of Doom.
I think it was The Last Crusade, wasn't it?
One of the two.
Either way, it was either in 84 or in 89. And
Both? Wow. Really?
yeah, which
that's okay.
so,
That is actually kind of freaky too.
But yeah, Temple of Doom was in 84 and The Last Crusade was in 89. And the reason I brought that up right now is only because I'm very specifically thinking of how you hated that you're like, I hate Indiana Jones in this movie because he punches that woman in the face. And in this movie, you're like, Dr. Venkman's pretty cool. I mean, you're not saying that he's pretty cool, but you're saying, I love this movie and these characters, even though Dr. Venkman's not the best kind of person.
No, but there's as slimy as Bateman can be, it's still Bill Murray, if that makes sense. And Bill Murray has just such a natural charisma
The
to
delivery
him.
behind it.
Yeah, like, and it never feels like he's doing it. Like, it never feels. It's weird to put it this way. It never feels like he's genuinely just a bad person. He's just kind of a jackass.
He's a salesman, the show host.
Yes. Yes. That's who he is. While like Indiana Jones punching a woman in the face doesn't feel like Indiana Jones. Also, like if it's Temple of Doom, that's just not a good movie.
Yeah, Temple of Doom's just.
Oh, let me just type it in.
What movie does Indy punch a woman in the face?
Indiana Jones.
Answer is
In the Face. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay, you're right. 89.
okay, 89. Same year that Ghostbusters 2 came out.
Give your score. That would have been a great segue.
Yeah. No, my score is a 7.
Oh, what?
Huh.
That is so low.
I mean, it's only what does IMDb give it? I think IMDb 7.5. No, 7.8. I just, yeah, it's a good movie. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's better than the average film, which is a 5. A lot better than a lot of most of the average movies we watch, which are around 6s. So, quality 7.
I don't know if we can keep doing this show after this year.
See, what's going to happen is Dev's going to become too famous to be able to work with me, a small-time creator. And our difference of opinions will just eventually tear us apart. Even though at the same
God, one can only dream.
It's especially funny too that we have different ways of growing up, but we lived in the exact same area, so we often think very similar ways, just to different ends. Like we'll make the same reference, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
Fun times.
I don't know how you could give this a 7 because it's arguably one of the greatest movies ever made.
I'll talk about it later. Oh, I kind of talked about it because I said why. Never mind. I literally just talked about for 20 minutes on why I thought this movie gets a 7.
Okay, on to the next one.
Ghostbusters 2!
Which came out June 16th, 1989. With a budget of $37 million. Its opening week made $29 million. Gross US $112 million. And worldwide $215 million. This movie holds a very special place in my heart. Grew up watching it a lot.
Okay. Was it once a month like the original?
Yeah, pretty much we would watch these back to back. Like, genuinely, we would watch Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. Like, almost every single time we watched it. As an adult,
Pretty bad.
I still love it. Okay, I will fully admit that. Like, there's a part of my brain, and I know it's, I know it's wrong, because it's like, this isn't a good movie. Why do I think this? Why do I love this movie still? Because it's still charming.
Yeah, I mean,
like it's endearing.
It's the same reason why I love Scooby-Doo too.
This is my Scooby-Doo too.
Exactly,
okay?
Yeah.
It's fun because like the cast is the cast. Like they're all still really good in their roles. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, Rick Moranis.
I love
Sigourney Weaver and Annie Potts.
They give Annie Potts so much more in this movie, and I love what they 100%. Did with it. It's funny.
And then Peter McNulty as
Janos. Janos Poa.
I'm Janos is just I don't. There's something so like iconic about Janos. Okay,
where are you from? South Side.
Yeah, it's just like it's weirdly endearing. Okay, it's just entertaining. It's not good compared to the first one. It doesn't have the same tone, and that is its biggest defeat. Like it is. I watched because Kind of Funny did the review, and Greg Miller is a huge Ghostbusters fan. He literally has like all the suits. He has like multiple suits. He has like a proton pack, stuff like that.
Nice.
The reason, and I forgot about it, the reason why this movie is like this is because in the 80s, there was the real life Ghostbusters cartoon show, which sort of took place after Ghostbusters 1, but in its own timeline. So with that one, it just like you had people who watched Ghostbusters had more time with those characters in that form. So when you're making a sequel, kids still love it.
Yeah, just get off of what's popular, you know? Copy paste.
Kinda, yeah. Copy paste, you make it a little bit more like the cartoon. That is to this movie's detriment. 100%. Because it is too kiddie. Ghostbusters is for kids. 100%. The first Ghostbusters, kids can watch that and enjoy the shit out of it. Because I did. Made you not afraid of no ghosts, all right?
Afraid of no ghost.
Ooh. But it doesn't make this one losing that makes it worse.
Hmm. Like,
Also, the music. This is the first time I actually like. Again, watching their review series, they pointed out the music, and this is the first time I actually sat down watching it and kind of listened to that as an adult. And yeah, like the fact that they didn't use like the same like music style definitely doesn't set the tone of this movie the same way either.
mhm.
It's definitely much more uh cartoony.
I mean, even just past that, like when we break it down, even to just like very basic character development, they start the movie with completely different relationships from characters from when we last saw them. Part of that's because of it's different from movie one to movie two because of the cartoon stuff that you were talking about. But like, it ends with the last movie ends with Sigourney Weaver character and Bill Murray's character kind of getting in a relationship, and then all the others doing their own thing. And then Ghostbusters is all together and happy, and then the next movie starts where they're like, "Nope, Ghostbusters doesn't exist anymore, and our relationships have all been broken up, and we don't really talk to each other anymore either, just sometimes from time to time." And then they have to rebuild their friendship with each other, and then they start going on these adventures where they're vaguely connected. They're ever so vaguely connected. Like, there's absolutely no explanation why we've got the pink slime at all in this movie. It's just there, and it has something to do with our main antagonist, Vigo.
Vigo!
It's Vigo! And,
I want to get a Vigo painting.
it'd be kind of cool, actually, yeah. Make it
It's
one
an
of those.
awful painting.
Mm.
I would have that in my living room.
Make it one of the holographic ones, so as you're moving from one side of the room to the other, his eyes watch you.
I won't go that far. His eyes are already gonna watch you.
That's true.
It's one of those things that will just follow you. Okay.
But we have Vigo and the pink goo, and then when we start talking about what happened to the pink goo, it's like, oh, it grows when you get mad, or it dances when you play music. And that's the only two things we figured out so far. So that's cool.
There's something so endearing about a dancing toaster, Steven. I do love the dancing toaster.
The dancing toaster is pretty silly.
It's so
Yeah.
fucking good.
Yeah, so then we have the dancing toaster. And
it's so dumb, but I love it.
And then when we get to the end of the movie, the Ghostbusters really have nothing to do with the resolution of the film. I mean, they kind of do. They have a Macy's Day Parade on Thanksgiving. But other than that...
On New Year's.
Yeah, on New Year's. But other than that, don't really do much for the resolution of this film. Or throughout the entire film. They're just funny communications with each other. And the communications are better. I feel like the characters that they build are much better characters. But the ghost busting is a lot worse.
Well, and also, are they better characters? They're different characters.
Okay, maybe
They're
not
the
better
same
characters. Yeah.
It's like, Egon, okay, I will argue 100% is better in Ghostbusters 1 than he is in 2.
Yes.
Hands down.
I would argue that too. I think Janine is better in this Ghostbusters than Ghostbusters 1.
Yeah, because they give her more time.
Yeah, I like Janos. I like Luis, but I think I prefer Luis in the first movie over this one. Because Luis really does nothing but make Janine a better character. Winston is in this movie more.
Is he?
I think.
Is he? Okay, I will argue that because as a kid, it always bothered me too. The courthouse scene. What is Winston doing? Did he just leave? Did he leave during the trial at one point? He's like, all right, guys, I know you guys like your convictions coming up soon. I'm gonna grab a sandwich though.
Mm.
I'll be back. Probably hear about it.
It's nothing to do with these people. Yeah, I just worked here. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. That always bugged me growing up, and it bugs me more now as an adult. I'm like, What? Where is he? What did he do? Where did you go, Winston? They needed you.
Nope, it's just how police worked in the 1990s. Let's see. I'm trying to think of other things. Oh, like other than that, there is one thing that I really liked, and it is the court scene when they release the ghost in the courts. Um, Not intentionally. Which that all being said too, I don't understand how that happened to begin with because I know it has something to do with the goo, but that's it. Yeah.
Sciencey goo stuff.
Yeah, sciencey goo stuff. Ghosts show up.
Gooey got a gooey.
Yeah. And then one of the ghosts does a really cool thing where it goes through the door with a lady, and that was really cool. That's still kind of hard to do depending on how you do it. So that's fun. But other than that, I mean, I'd watch this movie again just to laugh. There's a lot of times I would watch movies just to pull like a Mystery Science Theater with them. Like, ha ha ha, this is awful. Let's watch it together.
I wouldn't call this awful, but okay.
Especially too, like, how the hell does Janos become a ghost at one point? Like, it's not important. It's not really a spoiler, but
Steven. Yano got the Yano.
Yes. Yeah, it's just the Ghostbusters.
You start asking questions like that, you're gonna ask questions like, how did the Lady Liberty keep all the slime inside of her when she crossed through the Hudson Bay?
Because it was the slime that was doing the move, not the statue.
Yeah, but the statue obviously would have had a ton of water on the inside, which would have washed away the slime.
Yeah, I know.
But statue got a statue, Steven. Because in turn, movies got a movie.
I do
like
love
I said, this movie's just like, it's charming, but bad.
I do like the one line of dialogue where they're talking about the tests that they're conducting on the slime, and eventually runs around to find out that Egon's sleeping with the slime.
It makes sense because that's the thing Egon would do, but they play it in a weird way.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was Ghostbusters 1 writing, it would have been funnier.
You're probably not wrong. You're almost definitely not wrong, actually.
I know.
Oh, like with this movie, I'm definitely going to watch it again. If you watch Ghostbusters 1, you have to watch Ghostbusters 2. But Ghostbusters 2, to me, is just overall a worse movie than Ghostbusters 1.
Yes. Yes.
So,
100%. But it's fun to watch.
Popcorn this one?
Yeah, I'll give you your popcorn.
All right, for this one, I'm giving it a 6.
I have to give it a 10. Like, it is arguably one of the greatest movies ever made. No, I
was about to say, don't you be
6 as well.
I was like, you're not gonna give the first one a 9 and then the second one a 10. Fuck you.
I'm sorry, didn't you give what is the sequel that I will argue with you on? That's right. You gave F9 the same score you gave Fast 5 and Fast and Furious 6.
See, but the difference there is we just agreed that this movie was worse than the first one, and then you're gonna give it a higher rate. That's why. My logic is sound here, sir. Maybe not then, but it's sound now.
Oh. Yeah, I'm giving it a 6 as well.
Double 6s all the way across the sky. I mean, this movie isn't bad. It really isn't. Watch it. Definitely watch it.
I mean, it's bad, but it's, it's entertaining if you like the first Ghostbusters.
I do have to say, one of my favorite things that they did was their redesign on the car. I thought that looked...
the first car's better.
I thought the second one looked
You are in the wrong. Okay. Fine. You are so in the wrong on this one.
Whatever.
The Ecto one is far better than the Ecto 1A. Okay. That is Not even close, and I will not stand for that.
Ecto 1 versus Ecto 1A. Hmm.
Are you looking at debates? Because the Ecto one wins.
I mean, I'll just say I think it looked sleeker, more interesting.
How does it look more interesting? It has fucking ads on the side of it.
Yeah, that's more visually interesting.
I love the classic Ecto, dude. Ecto one's better.
If I could
Hands
have a
down.
light up sign on the side that says now hiring, I would. Or now being hired, I guess. Yeah,
Ghostbusters 1's Ecto 1 is better than the Ecto 1A.
fine, whatever. Let's start talking about our last movie.
Ghostbusters Afterlife, which released November 19th, 2021, with a opening US and Canada weekend of $44 million. So far, gross US and Canada, $57 million. And worldwide so far, $73 million. Dude, I am not going to lie. This was arguably the best theater experience of the year for me.
This was a lot of fun.
Did the audience react like mine did, where it was just kind of like the jokes just kept slapping?
Not quite. I was actually the one who laughed the most in this movie.
Oh, dude, my theater was popping because I went to VIP for this because I was like, I don't want to deal with kids for this. I'm sorry. I got an experience this as an adult.
Yeah.
And the theater was popping. Because I'm not going to lie, dude. I know some of the jokes probably flopped generally, but they didn't flop for me. Like, this movie's funny and in the right way. It's not funny like a kid's movie funny. This is funny like Goonies.
Yeah, I liked, there's a lot of dark humor, there's a lot of dry humor, there's a lot of awkward, funny moments, but it all just mashes and clicks so well. I now, like,
oh my God, yeah.
I like, one of my favorite jokes, I even have it on a shirt, is that Adam joke that she said. Like, Adams, they make everything up. But now I literally have a new favorite joke to tell people, which is, what's the difference between a hamster and a cigarette? or how is the hamster and a cigarette the same? That's what it was. And it was, well, they're harmless until you stick it in your mouth and light it on fire. That's pretty good. That's a great dry humor joke.
That's 100%. It's good.
Yeah. And when I go through and I think about everything that happens, I love how the story works in this one. Like, I like the setup that we get in the beginning with the short little segment that we get, which is both.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's visually stunning and also sets a great tone and theme. And then we hop in and we start learning about our new kid characters who are amazingly fun and exciting once we get to know them, especially Podcast. Podcast is my favorite, but I do have to say that Phoebe is a close second. And but then
Phoebe's the star of the show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, she's first.
Phoebe does great.
You're wrong.
But
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
Podcast is second, okay?
Okay, sure. And then we're going through this movie and all the fun stuff is happening. I like how it connects, like how literally
it does.
It connects with the franchise before, and I like just how the story goes from A to B in the movie. Like,
yeah,
as soon as they started,
fucking Paul Rudd.
Yeah, Paul Rudd's great. I loved his inclusion in this movie.
So good. He's so fucking good. Like, he's so comedically good. Carrie Coon is also fantastic in this. Like, as the mom character, Callie, like, she's really good. Finn Wolfhard is good as Trevor. Doesn't get a ton of time, but does pretty good. You know, he's a good actor, so duh.
He's growing up so fast.
Celeste O'Connor does really good as Lucky. I like their dynamic between the two of them. Like, it's a fun fucking movie. Like, goddamn, I didn't go into this movie having zero expectation. I'll admit that. I wasn't able to leave expectation at the door because I literally grew up watching Ghostbusters. Okay, like, I will fully admit when there is a movie that I cannot put expectations at the door. All right. Marvel has always been one of those ones that I can do that with because, like, the expectations I leave at the door are like, how are they going to adapt this? You know what I mean? Like, that's the expectation I have going in. I leave my expectation of the quality of the movie at the door as much as I can. Um, right. Same with like I try to go in the same expectation when I go to see a DC movie
Mhm.
because I go in with the expectation that I have as baseline for comic book movies with those. This is the first time because I didn't go to see Ghostbusters 2016 in theaters because it was a
Reasons.
weird time. Um, it didn't look funny to me. All right, that's why I didn't go, and I wanted to see what reviews were like because we didn't have a review channel at the time.
Mm.
Um, we weren't the ones doing the review for it, so um, this is the first time I got to really experience like a piece of my childhood on the big screen. Um, and it continue in a way that felt good.
Mhm.
Looking at you, Star Wars. Um, because like where that sequel trilogy went sucked, and I will if they do two more of these and like they suck. Okay, this was so fun though. Like I had so much goddamn fun because it's so well done.
Yeah. I like how literally everything that they do works. The characters
Yeah,
are great. Their interactions with each other is awesome. I like the humor that they set up. I love the backstory and lore that they follow. I like that we actually get to see an up close look of the proton pack actually functioning for the first time, and it's like, oh, that's cool. And um, and then we get to see so many other things that have been tricked out and upgraded throughout time as well. Like the freaking sensor, which also turns into a taser now. Like, that's cool. And then my
the goggles now have a
goggles.
camera.
Yeah, goggles are funny. Um I liked like all the adult jokes that happened in the show because there was a lot of adult humor in there. Like I think the whole Paul Rudd walking up, ah yes, I'm an escort. That came out wrong. Or the whole like I think I was the only one who laughed at the whole my name's podcast. You want to listen to my can I listen to your show? It really gets his voice in episode 46. I'm like because that feels so relatable.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. 'Cause that would be our first entire year
Yeah.
of doing this show.
And then the movie ends like, "You're my subscriber." Yeah, it really gets its voice in episode 46. I'm like, "That's hilarious."
Um, the moment that he said like it really gets his legs around episode 46, and I went, man, God, that hurts. Because literally, this show took a year before it found its legs. It literally did because we had to format it. So there was, in all honesty, even that first year of it having its legs, it didn't learn how to run yet.
No.
2020 is honestly the year we learned how to run with this show.
Yeah, we figured things out then. This is totally a perfectly polished show.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Though I do gotta say, um, going back onto this movie, not our show, um, there was one thing I did not suspect. I could have done without it completely. I honestly don't think it needs to be in the movie, but I thought it was a fun thing that was in there. J.K. Simmons cameo. Like,
Way to spoil
it
it.
doesn't matter. It's the fucking
No, it doesn't
cameo that doesn't matter.
I don't care. I was really hoping we wouldn't spoil that because it's such a good moment that I had no idea was coming.
Like, I
Then
didn't
when
even
you
know it was him until the credits
yeah,
rolled. Like,
oh,
yeah,
as soon as he stood up and started talking, I knew it was him.
like I didn't even in when he was standing up and talking. I was like, who is that? And then that was it. He was gone. I was like, okay, cool. Like it means nothing, but it was still fun to see him in there. Um, once I figured out who it was, I was like, oh, uh,
Which, by the way, our Marvel connection of the day,
mhm.
we have J.K. Simmons as maybe multiple J. Joe Jamesons.
Every JJ.
Kinda. And Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. Um, so yeah, those are our Marvel connections of the day. We also do have Bookham Woodbean, who played Shocker in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Let's say there's more. Don't stop there.
Um, is there anyone else who's been in a Marvel movie yet? I don't think so.
One of these days, you need to actually like go through and like check every single actor's IMDb beforehand.
Oh shit! Carrie Coon is also a Marvel connection.
See?
She was Proxima Midnight.
You have to go through and look at everyone's IMDb.
Shut up. That's not even a fair one because she's like, covered in CGI and makeup. Okay, that's not fair.
Oh.
Fuck you.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's amazing. Let's see here. Has to be something else too.
There is no one else. Okay, shut up.
But getting back on this movie, I just enjoyed everything that we got. Though I gotta say, the one thing that I thought was hilarious was because Somerville, right? Somerville, Springville, Somerville. I was like, wow, a small town in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. I mean, at least it wasn't in Arizona. But then I just couldn't help but laugh because it reminded me so much of Kingman because even in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, there's a giant super Walmart.
Yep. That dude, I went, man, this is because I just thought of that diner was what is it?
Sonic.
No.
What did they think of?
D's.
Oh, yeah, Mr. D's or whatever it was called. But it made me think of Sonic, but
no, it made me think of Mr. D's, like as that classic old school stop that's still around since the whenevers. Since the town became what it is. With mountains and there's mining stuff nearby, like it was 100%. I was like, so Oklahoma's Kingman.
Yeah. And I do think it's a little weird. I'm not like, I feel like I know the only reason why the Walmart was in this movie was because they paid to be in this movie.
Yes.
But
Target should have paid for it.
I feel like anything other than like a major blockbuster chain, like big box store, should have been it personally.
Steven, they're in every small town though.
Not in every small town.
Just about, Steven.
Pretty
just
close.
About.
But then, other than that, I like this movie. I even like how when we get to what's happening, like I had no idea what was going on with this movie. I, like always, just go in as blind as I possibly can. And
I did too, because like I will say, even the trailers give you some ideas of what's coming, but like you don't really know what's happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then once we get to the end of the movie with like the conflict that happens, like who our main antagonist is, I'm like, oh, and like they even start dropping it literally the first time they start talking about it, when they talk about the mines. I was like, are they really? They're going there? Cool. That's real cool.
And, dude, I gotta say, during the climax, holy shit, does it get emotional?
Yeah,
I didn't know how they would handle some of the stuff, but I feel they nailed it.
I gotta say, I do love it. I love, especially because they do their Thor Herald moment literally in the movie. It's not before, it's not after. They take a moment of the time of the film's runtime to do it for him, and that was amazing.
Yeah, I'm getting watery-eyed just thinking about it. It's just like they do it so well.
It fits perfect.
It does, and I knew I knew going in that is how they will probably handle it, and I was worried that it wouldn't go well. but like they do it so well, and it's just like because I gotta say the emotional beats throughout the rest of this movie are so well done. Um, that when that moment happens, it's so earned and so good. Um, and I can't wait to talk about it during spoilers.
Mhm. There's one thing that I am gonna critique about it is even though how amazing it was and how good it looked, I wish it was a little more original. Only because it was literally the exact same scene from another movie.
Mm. Start with an S.
The franchise starts with an H and ends with a Potter.
Oh, that's not where it ends. I mean, that happens once.
Kind of happens twice. It's the
Okay, and that
resolutions of like the major fights too.
it doesn't happen that way though.
Not quite that way. Like the
That's
difference
that.
between how it happens in Harry Potter and how it happens in this movie is it's already happening in this movie just because it's already happening. While in Harry Potter, it's like this is happening specifically because of the final battle.
Also, like it's been essentially alluded to the rest of the movie, and that's why I want to talk about it during during spoilers, because it's alluded to really well
Mm-hmm.
and built. I say it's built upon. While in Harry Potter, it's like it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like previously established reason for it to happen.
Yeah.
Was they give the reasoning after it happens? Because we're talking about the Goblet of Fire
Triwizard
scene, right?
Tournament.
Yes, they give the explanation after.
Yeah.
This one, like the explanation is being set
It's
throughout the
natural
movie.
throughout the whole thing.
Yes, yes, that's why I like it.
Mm-hmm. But Harry Potter did it first.
No, it didn't. Not well.
Alright, I'm trying to think of anything else to talk about. I like the music. I love the
Oh, the
cinematography.
music's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about that? It's so fucking good. It's perfect music. Because like the something that I like talking about with this one is this is Ghostbusters meets Goonies. Um, that is how I will describe this movie to people. You like Ghostbusters? Awesome. You like Goonies? Awesome. This movie is perfect for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's why I think it is a really great sequel to the series. Because like it knows it can't be Ghostbusters because Ghostbusters is like lightning in a bottle, right? You can't recreate it. You just can't. They've tried multiple times. Um, so this movie went, well, what's the next best thing that we can do? Let's take Ghostbusters, its essence of being a horror movie that like has comedic beats and make it about a young adult power story like the Goonies. And the formula worked so well in this. And a big key factor of that is 100% the music. Because the music has so many of the Ghostbusters beats, but just tweaked a little bit here and there, that it maybe at points feels a little bit more like not kiddish, but like youthful.
Mm.
That's how I would describe it. It doesn't feel kiddish with its music like Ghostbusters 2 does at points, but it feels youthful.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a good way of explaining it, right?
It does, yeah. Like if I were to listen, I'm almost thinking of it when I like the most recent kids movie that I've watched that I can think of off the top of my head. I think is Space Jam, and the music
Yes.
in this is a lot better than the music in Space Jam.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. God damn, is music good at this though? I think it's so good.
Mhm.
like any podcast in Phoebe scene. It's so good.
They're great. I do like Trevor in this movie. I kind of wish there was a little bit like more
More?
of Finn, but he does okay with what we got. I definitely wanted more Paul Rudd because Gruberson was funny. I liked that character. What we got with him was okay though. Could have used more. Happy with what we got. I was at one point I was a little weirded out because I was imagining like when I think of the resolution of this film and what happens with like Lucky. I'm like, huh. Good thing that it wasn't her first.
Yeah.
But that's all things that people think about. So it doesn't seem awkward. But it still could have been awkward.
Yes. I mean, I also laugh at the fact that, like, we'll explain it, but those two seem to have a type. You know who I'm talking about? The two
I do.
that do the thing that causes the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to have a type that they go for. So I find that funny. Yeah, but dude, this movie, like, I genuinely thoroughly enjoyed this shit. Like, this was arguably one of my I'm saying that also going against like my theater experience with Shang-Chi, this was one of my favorite theater experiences of the year, if not the favorite theater experience of the year. There's only probably one movie that will top it this year.
And we'll see that soon.
Yes. And we know why it's going to top it, but like this will be a good second place. So good job, Sony.
Yeah. They got a good year. End of the year.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh man.
I'm trying to think anything non-spoilery specific that we want to talk about in this movie. I haven't really got anything else I can think of.
All right.
So, Dev, here are your popcorn kernels. How many are you going to give the Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Giving it a 9.
9. Quality. I was going to give
I
it...
put it on level of Ghostbusters.
Yeah. I was about to say, I think this one is better than the original Ghostbusters. So I'm giving it an 8.5.
I can accept that.
Oh yeah.
There you have it.
That's the franchise and timeline of the Ghostbusters up until now. Yeah, go ahead, hit the button.
Let's get ready to spoiler!
Woo! Where to start?
Where to start?
Well, let's start with the cameo I ruined.
That came out of fucking nowhere. Okay, it was so fucking funny because when the body turns the first time, I had no idea that this would.
Yeah, I couldn't tell it was him. I just saw gray hair and blue eyes, and was like, "Who is that?" And then they lay back down, and it's like, "Okay, fine, it doesn't matter." And then the character stands up, and I'm like, "Who is that?" And then they're ripped in half. I'm like, "Okay, that doesn't matter." And then
the reason why I want people to go into it without knowing it was J.K. Simmons is because the moment it happened, my entire theater went, "Oh my god!" Like unanimously, we went, "Oh, it's J.K. Simmons!" Like the theater gasped.
See, yeah, I didn't have that for my theater. No one was like, "Oh, that's J.K. Simmons." Like I said, I was the one who laughed the most. I was the one who was like, "That's funny."
Again, this is why this is my favorite theater experience, because like shit like that happened where like J.K. Simmons popped on screen as Ivor Shandor, and like everyone went. I heard someone whisper, "J.K. Simmons?" I went, "This is awesome. This is fantastic," and they do it. It's the perfect amount of J.K. Simmons, because like as soon as he stands up, I'm like, "Huh." I think and then my brain, it literally took my brain 2 seconds of the scene happening, and it's like, no, he's gonna get fucking demolished here in a second.
Yeah, he's literally ripped in two.
Great. Another thing that is great, in that area too. Ghostbuster's fantastic in this. Great design and everything.
Hmm? I was a little upset that we didn't get to see like any other. Like I wanted to see Slimer. I didn't want to see a Muncher who looked like the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland by Tim Burton. I didn't want to see that. I wanted to see Slimer.
Slimer doesn't live in Oklahoma. He lives in New York City.
Apparently. But there are multiple Slimers.
So.
And then movie happens. Destruction happens as they capture the freaking Muncher. And then that's when we get our first cameo in the movie, which is Ray Stantz. Dan Aykroyd. Ray Stantz. Still running Ray's Occult, which I think is fun.
Yes. Which does, in my opinion, confirm that Ghostbusters 2 did happen. Because like some people are still kind of like, well, did it happen or not? Because they don't really talk about it. I'm like, this movie isn't worried about what happened in Ghostbusters 2. It's open to interpretation for you to choose whether or not you want Ghostbusters 2 to happen or not, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
So like, and like some people I know have complained about the exposition of that scene, but like, fuck it.
I mean, it's a little heavy-handed, but it's kind of needed because they set up a lot. Like, what has Egon been doing on his own for the last like 20 years? And they don't really explain it because Egon's dead, both in the show and in real life.
Yeah, Harold Ramis has passed. Yeah.
So, in the show, his character dies in the first 5 minutes, and then his ghost is haunting the house. And
first time we've seen a ghost kill someone in the Ghostbusters franchise.
Mm-hmm. True. And that's a lot of the cool things too. I also love the redesign that they had for Zool and Vins, because they looked incredibly similar, but they were better. And then they're like spectral ghost forms. They looked amazing.
Oh my god! By the way, the prop used for Zool, or for Vince, in the Walmart, that was so good.
It looked really good. Yeah.
Oh my god, I was so happy with how that. Like, as soon as it came out, and I'm like, oh, that's real. That's not CGI. Yeah, that is a real terror dog. Oh, that's so fucking cool. Like, I was blown away because I didn't expect the terror dog to be like an actual prop that they would make for this.
But they did it.
It looked so good.
It looked, especially too, because how far like our puppet making has come. So it looked a lot like the original, but it also looked so much better than the original.
Yes. And part of that also comes with the fact that lighting and camera like quality has gone up too. So like, dude, seeing like a terror dog in fucking crazy definition and like, it looked so good.
And then all the miniature Stay Puffs too. Like, that was by far, I was watching that scene and I was like, oh god, this is like the most morbid thing I think I've ever seen. Because they're running each other over and blending each other and literally lighting each other on fire. One of them's like, I'm gonna get this hat. As he's melting into a grill. It's like, fuck, that's horrifying, but also really adorably
cute
funny.
And adorable.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
I also love that scene because like when Paul Rudd slides across the hood into his car because his windshield was broken earlier.
I just like how they set that up too, because they released Zool. I think it's Zool. I don't know which one
it was Zool. Yes.
Yeah, they released Zool by accident, and that release is what breaks Paul Rudd's windshield. And then the next scene where they see them in the car, Podcast is hanging with his face out the window, and Paul Rudd
reaches over. Throwing it over.
So they established that he doesn't have a windshield, and then they use it again later, which is awesome.
It was hilarious because I forgot about the windshield, and all of a sudden he dives in the car and goes through the windshield because it's not there, and I'm like, oh yeah, the windshield's broken.
Yeah, exactly.
That was fantastic.
They had it set up. It was totally fine.
Give it enough breathing room that I'm gonna forget. So when it happens, it's funny.
I
God
also
damn.
I also like the fact too that they talk about how why people were there in the first place, and it all has to do with Egon doing his super science stuff to keep um, Gozer from coming back. But then
Yes.
once Gozer comes back, I like that it's a battle of the original Gozer, they them form, versus our main characters, and then not only our main characters but the original characters too.
Hey, flat top.
Uh,
God damn it. Dude, that line gets said, and I'm like, oh, yes. I know it's such a hamstrung way for them to show up in the movie.
uh-huh.
But the moment it's said and they start to do their bits, and they go about like, sure you remember us. Are you? Hold on. Let me see if I can get a good
Yeah.
enough.
Don't no. I
Okay.
thought.
Are you a god? And they go,
All right, Ray.
Ray?
Know the answer to this, Ray.
Yes. That was all you needed to set up that Gozar 100% remembers
Yeah.
that. 1,000,000% same Gozar. Like, the moment that question was asked, I'm like, oh shit.
That's Gozer.
Yep, that's Gozar. 100%. This is a continuation.
Mhm.
And them doing all their bits and then like getting slammed against the Ecto one. And Peter just doing that like, we could have been something.
Mhm.
This and that.
Oh, yep, we're cooked as he misses.
Good job, Winston.
Yeah,
Good try.
good try, Winston.
And then, dude, just like Phoebe going for the shot and like holding it there, and then all of a sudden,
We get the Harry Potter beam struggle, and then Egon's there.
oh, dude, as soon as like I knew like what I thought would happen, like, and this is also what like Greg said it would be too. And it made perfect sense. You know, they wouldn't show the face or anything. They would just have his hand show up there and hold it.
Mhm.
And then maybe they would have like someone do a Harold Ramis kind of impersonation, be like, "I got this, guys,"
Mhm.
and take care of it himself. My opinion, they did even better
Yeah, this is much better.
because like that scene of seeing Phoebe and Egon
Mhm.
holding the proton beam, and like then the boys get in
Mhm.
and they line up
The
and
four
you
of them.
see them all together,
Uh-huh.
and like Winston looks,
And then they all
nudges
slowly start
Ray,
looking. Yeah.
Ray looks, and Peter looks. It's just one of those moments where I'm like, man, god damn, that's a moment.
Mhm.
um and then like having them all have their moment with him, um having Callie have their moment with Egon,
Yeah, having it be the last moment that they have before he disappears too.
but then also having the original three, you know, be like, should have called,
Mm.
should have believed you, should have been there.
Mm.
There's also a little bit of a way for them to say goodbye to Harold Ramis, because like maybe you know, maybe like there's never enough time with someone. There isn't. Um, so it's one of those things, and it's just like that hit, and it does a really good job of it. Goddamn, does it do a really good job of it, to the point that the person in the row in front of me literally was just about damn weeping. There's a grown man crying
Everyone was
in
so
front of me.
emotional in your movie theater. Jesus.
Everyone else was like, holding together, but this person, and I think we all had to hold it together because this person was like barely holding together. This person has to argue that they want to be one of the biggest Ghostbuster fans out there. Because I saw like little moments of him like kind of celebrating little things here and there. And just at that moment, like hearing him, I'm like, God damn it, I gotta hold it together. Because if I get to like, if I get like him,
Yeah, you're gonna
and
bounce off each other.
you're gonna bounce off each other. Then it's just gonna be, it's just gonna
The
escalate.
whole theater's gonna start crying.
We're in here to get drunk. Not really. I wasn't drinking that night, but I was in the VIP because obvious. There's something about being able to get loaded loaded French fries with a movie theater, and a nice seat. Didn't go with a recliner this time, because like the regular seats are really nice too. But yeah, like it was one of those things where it's just like it was so well done. And then he fades up, and then it says for Harold.
Just right there in the middle of the movie, pure black for Harold, right where you're watching his ghost.
Right into the sky, the night sky.
Yep.
And then cuts down. See Ecto One.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, I believe it was the Manhattan Bridge.
Yep, driving over the Manhattan Bridge.
Back into New York.
And credits roll. And we get
And
two cutscenes.
Two post scenes. The mid credit scene was one of those ones that it happened, and I saw and Sigourney Weaver. I'm like, wait, what? And then the scene starts. I'm like, oh, that was well played, movie. Way to make me question what's about. Like, I went, wait, what? And then she shows up. I'm like, oh, you know what? That was
that was the best.
Well done.
I loved her
Well done,
scene
movie.
too. Like, you marked the cards, didn't you?
No, yeah. Good callback.
Like that made me. I loved it. It made me feel so much better about the relationship, and it made me love the first movie more because right there, Dr. Venkman's like, I was awful. It wasn't sound science, but I was doing it anyways.
Yeah. Shows growth. And then the second scene we get is because Winston at this point is like a really wealthy businessman. He like apparently pays for a raise a cult to still be around and stuff like that. And him and Janine are having a lunch together. It looks like at his office, and he's like, "Yeah, the Ghostbusters taught me to not be afraid," which is what it taught a lot of people. Like straight up, Ghostbusters was how you handled the scary things in the dark. Like, yeah, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Like,
I am afraid.
that straight up, that is what Ghostbusters is about. And then I think this is a perfect tease for potential next movie. Because if you've seen Ghostbusters 1, you know what this could mean. We see the Ecto-1 getting pulled into the garage. As Winston's in there, and then it kind of pans down to the basement.
Confinement center. The laser confinement grid, which has been turned off forever.
I think the power's still running. But it hasn't had a tune-up in a while.
I mean, it's interesting to wonder how that's still running because from what we were told in the movie, their old place had become a Starbucks. So Winston has made so much money, he bought a Starbucks and turned it back into the Ghostbusters place.
I say like half of it became it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that'd be funny.
Ray, yeah. It pans down and we see the confinement grid blinking red, and then the movie's over.
So which ghost do you think is gonna come?
I don't know, but dude, that is a great way to end it. As a way for if a sequel was gonna happen, that's a perfect sequel right there.
See what it's gonna be actually is it's gonna be a Sony Plus TV show where it's Ghostbusters meets Danny Phantom, and the kids are going around Ghostbusting the stuff that keeps coming out of the portal that keeps opening up from the laser grid.
Oh Jesus.
No, but yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. It was good, and I loved like the touches of horror that it had in there too, because it had very scary moments. Like I especially loved how the ghosts were pretty much invisible. I liked Gozer when Zool was trapped, how it was barely sticking together, but was still like corporeal enough to cause so much mayhem. It was great. Looked really good. Watch this movie.
Yeah, 100%. This movie is it's good.
Okay. I haven't got anything else, honestly.
Neither do I.
All right. Let's end this with a little bit of news. Perfect. Okay. So, this week, for the news, I mean, I didn't really see much that I wanted to talk about. I mean, I know, like Dev said earlier, Hawkeye just came out on Disney Plus.
Yep.
We got interesting movies coming out next month, so I'll talk about that in a moment. But was there anything else? I didn't post anything in the Discord, did I?
Not that I know of.
Because there's not really much talk about. I mean, not much that I saw about things that I wanted to talk about. There's
There's some talk about from the early screenings of Resident Evil.
Yes, reviews are starting to roll in. Good times. Oh, I saw this on the internet and I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was funny. So the internet considers Die Hard a Christmas movie because it takes place during Christmas.
Yes.
So does that make the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, the first movie, a Thanksgiving movie because it takes place at Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah. I consider that. Yeah, let's do that. I'm cool with that.
All right, cool. So, Thanksgiving movie for us on Thanksgiving Day.
You know what? Yeah, hey, there we go. We finally have a second Thanksgiving movie. Do you know what the first Thanksgiving movie is?
Gobble, the movie with the killer.
No. And that's Thanksgilling.
That's right. That was right. Thanksgiving. I've seen that movie so many times too.
And you still fuck it up.
Yep.
I'll give you a hint. It stars Steve Martin and John Candy. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Okay.
Which is most of the time shown during Christmas, when that is not the holiday that Steve Martin is trying to get home for.
He's trying to get home for Thanksgiving.
Yes. Yes, he is. So, now we have two. And I don't count the Charlie Brown ones because, like, obviously those, like, have a holiday that they are associated with. Like, come on. Those are cheating. Same with, like, yeah, no, those ones don't count. Like, come on. Those are set for, like, those are made specifically for, hey, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Duh, it's a Halloween movie. They have a Valentine's one. Of course they have one for Thanksgiving. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, the only other thing to talk about then is next month's movies.
I love that you do that every time. Next month movies. When it's the end of the month.
I only talk about the next week. That's all that matters. So next month, the theme is new movies. New-ish movies. So next week, the first week, we're going to do Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil movie. And then we're going to do Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of excited. Only if it gets you to start playing Resident Evil Village again. But we'll get to that later. Then the week after that, this was a filler week. It took a lot of deciding to try and figure out what we wanted to do on this week. And I mean, I offhandedly last week mentioned we should have watched Red Notice. So we're going to do that. But before Wide Notice, we're also going to watch Snitch and Criminal, which are movies with Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot and Dwayne The Rock Johnson doing spy thriller stuff. So, yay! It works. The week after that, this one was kind of hard to pin down when we were watching what. Because this week we're watching The Matrix Reloaded, and The Matrix Revolutions, the original Matrix movie trilogy franchise. Whatever. Woo! I'm excited for that. Then the week after that, we're doing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man No Way Home. No, that way we can finish off our Spider-Man stuff.
Yep. That's the last Spider-Man movie, and that'll mean it's the week we decide what happens to the list.
Yeah.
It's the week that decides
Oh.
does Venom say at 34?
Uh-huh. I'll talk about my thing in a second here. And then the last week of the year, before the new year, we're watching The Animatrix and The Matrix Resurrections.
And that's when I will also be doing the yearly average points.
Mm-hmm. So, what I thought of is when I went to the movie theater this weekend to see Ghostbusters Afterlife, I almost had parts of Spider-Man spoiled for me. Because I walk into the movie theater. I even walked into the theater 8 minutes late. I was like, I'm making sure I'm not walking in during any trailers. And I fucking walk in the middle of the Spider-Man trailer. I'm like, nope. I turn around and I walk out. And I wait another 2 minutes before I walk back in. I heard something about a wish. So, I don't know what it is. But
God, the fact that you are able to get into this without spoilers is going to be amazing.
I'm trying.
We are
so
going to have
hard.
such unique like experiences going previously into this. This is arguably because like at least with other Marvel movies, it's a lot easier to avoid spoilers
Mm-hmm.
because like Disney at least keeps shit under wraps.
Sony doesn't give a fuck.
No, so much has like the fact that the Brazilian trailer happened, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Like,
I don't, but
yes, I will explain it that week. Okay, I will explain it once we review it. What happened in the Brazilian trailer? Okay.
okay.
I promise you this. Okay, because I want to talk about it because it's news from last week, but like I could at least talk about it with you then. But yeah, like the fact that you managed to avoid that because that trended for a bit. Oh, but it's funny. I can't wait to see how we go into this. Then that, by the way, if you guys can't tell, that is the movie that's going to be the biggest theater experience of the year, arguably. Like it is going to be something that is 20 years in the making. So
I mean, I don't know. It could be The Matrix Resurrections. That could be the greatest movie experience you've ever had. See, what you need to do is you need to go in the middle of the day when all the old people are going. Then they'll be like, "Oh, I remember this."
No. Go on opening night.
Yeah, that
Spider-Man,
works too.
man. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's a Marvel movie. I'm going opening night, even if I work at 3 in the next morning. I give no shits.
Finish the movie, go straight to work, be like, "Did you see the movie yet?" No. Did you sleep? No.
No, I didn't.
Okay. So, I got nothing else. Okay.
Do I?
All right, cool. Let's call it quits for tonight. Because I realize I still have people I need to call to tell happy.
Nice.
Whoops. So, yeah. Thanks for being here, everybody. You're awesome. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a bell, ring the bell, leave a comment or a review, or all the other fun things. And fuck. We'll see you next week. Won't hit buttons.
And remember, Umbrella Corps is always here to give a helping hand.
Okay, bye.